So we are going to start, guys. Please go to the page 118 from your book. Page 118. So the graph in the part that says key concept show a proportional relationship. The graph of a proportional relationship is a straight line through the origin. Remember, the origin is the point 0 for x and 0 for y. So you have the point 0, 0 on the graph. This is your origin, and the line is passing through this point, and it's a complete straight line. So this graph shows that the total cost of tickets at a county fair is proportional to the number of tickets purchased for each point x, y on the line except 0, 0. Remember, this is the origin, so if you don't buy any ticket, the cost is going to be 0. So you already have the constant of proportionality y over x. This is equal 5, so we don't need to solve this. You already have this solved. It's only a part of the explanation. The constant of proportionality is already 5. Okay. So on the graph, you can see that y represents the cost and x is the number of tickets. Now, the important part we have below. The first question is, do you understand? What does the graph of a proportional relationship looks like? Okay, the answer for this question is on the first line you have. The graph of a proportional relationship is a straight line through the origin. So the answer for the first question, you have it on the top of the page, the first two lines. Okay. The second one, reasoning. Why will the graph of every proportional relationship include the point 0, 0? Okay, remember it includes the point 0, 0 because it's my origin. It's the origin of the graph. It includes the point 0, 0 because this is the origin of the graph. If you finish this one, we can go to the part number 3. Construct arguments.
Mister, because what? Because what?
Why you include the point 0, 0? Remember about the proportional relationship, you include the point 0, 0 because it's the origin of the graph. It's the origin of the graph. So the graph of the proportional relationship need to pass through this origin. So that's the reason why you need the point 0, 0. Now the number 3, construct arguments. Michaela plotted 2 points. The first point she has is 0, 0, and the other point is 3, 33 on a coordinate grid. Noah says that she is graphing a proportional relationship. Is Noah correct? Is this going to be a proportional relationship? You include the point 0, 0, so this is going to be a proportional relationship. Yes, this is going to be a proportional relationship. Okay, finish this part so we can start with the exercise in the practical part. The question in here, do you know how, is because you are going to solve the exercise and explain how is this happening. Okay. Go to the example 4 in the other part.
Okay.
For the exercise 4 to 7, we are going to use the same information. Martin and Isabel go bowling. Each game costs $10 and they split that cost. Martin has his own bowling shoes, but Isabel pays $3 to rent shoes. we need to complete the graph below. We have two graphs, one graph for Isabel and one graph for Martin. So when you have the graph for Martin, how are you going to graph this? This is going to be a proportional relationship. You are not going to affect the equation. I'm going to show you this part. Okay. Remember about the equation you need to have is y equal k multiplied by x. This is what you are going to have, okay? But for Martin, I have this. Y is equal, K is going to be 10. Remember, 10 is the $10 they paid for every game played. So 10 multiplied by X. X is the number of games that I don't know how many times they are going to play. So you multiply by the cost. In this case, the cost is $10 by each game. Okay, and what is the equation for Isabel? Isabel is Y equal 10X, but she is going to add something more because she paid $3 for the shoes. So you have the 10X plus 3 because she pays 3 more dollars, including the 10 for the, okay, for play one game. And now how I'm going to graph this. Remember that I need the graph. In the exercise 4, we need to complete the graph. So if I have it in this way, this is X and this is Y, and I have the other one for Isabel. This is X and this is Y. How can complete this? How can we complete this? Remember, for Martin, it's a proportional relationship, okay? You only have the variable Y, K, and X. You can see this is the form of the equation for a proportional relationship. So it's going to be a straight line that passes through the origin. The origin is 0, 0. And now for Isabel, what is going to happen? Isabel doesn't have a proportional relationship because she adds 3 to the equation. Remember, the form of the equation finishing here until 10x. So if you have the 3, this is not going to start in the origin. This has a little movement in here. So if 0, 0 is here, this graph doesn't show a proportional relationship. You don't have the graph starting in the origin. So for Isabel, this is not a proportional relationship. You can copy the graph, okay, complete the graph. You need to complete for Martin, starting in 0, 0, and you finish in the grid, okay, in the part above to complete the graph because you are going to need it later. And for Isabel, okay, it's not going to be a proportional relationship. Now, the question number 5 asks, which graph shows a proportional relationship and explain why? So we already know that Martin is the proportional relationship. This is the graph showing the proportional relationship. And why? Because it's passing through the origin and is a straight line. Don't forget this, guys. Remember, you have it on the key concept at the beginning of the page. 2 lines. Don't forget about this, because if you forget about how is a proportional relationship, how is the graph of the proportional relationship, you are not going to complete anything, okay? So the number 6, we need to choose one point of the graph of the proportional relationship and explain what this point means in terms of the situation. In this part, we are going to use the graph. You need the grid. You have the graph on your book, so we are going to take one point. For example, look, if you take 1 for x, what value do you have in y? 5, right? If you take 2 for x, you have 10 for the y. If you take 3, for example, you have 15 for the y. So we can take this point. We can take 3 for x and 15 for y. So the point is going to be 3, 15. But what this means in the situation that they played 3 times and paid $15. Remember that depending on the number of times they played, they are going to pay a amount of money. In this case, if they play 3 times, they are going to pay $15. Okay, this is for the number 6. If you already finished, we can pass to the last one. This is the 7. I think that this is the easiest topic for you guys because we only complete watching the graph and it's only about the graph of the situation. So the number 7, the last one for this page, and you are not going to have much homework, I think. Okay, number 7. What equation represents the proportional relationship? What equation represents the proportional relationship? Martin's one or Isabel? Martin, right? Because you can see the graph in here. The equation is y equal k multiplied by x. Y is equal 10x. So Martin's equation represents a proportional relationship. And remember about the graph. We already solved the graph on the board. So Martin. Okay. If you finish this, we go to the page 119. I write it on the chat. Page 119. And we have to solve the practice and problem solving. We start with the exercise 8. And we need to say for each graph, which one of these shows a proportional relationship. And we need to explain the reasoning. Why are we asking this? Why are we going to answer in this way? For example, in size A, is this a proportional relationship? Yes, right? This is a proportional relationship because it starts in the origin and it's a straight line, a completely straight line. But in the exercise B, you have that it starts in the origin, but it's not a straight line. It's not a straight line. Remember, you need to be writing this. You need to be writing down in your book. And you have until tomorrow to send me the evidence, right? The evidence for this week.
Missy, can I send it on Sábado at the morning?
But okay, do you have any excuse? Later you write me, okay?
Okay.
So in the exercise C, you can see that it's a straight line, but you don't have this line passing through the origin. So the C is not going to be a proportional relationship, only A. You already know the characteristics, so you complete with the information you have. And we are going to repeat this over through this classwork. Remember, a proportional relationship is a straight line through the origin. This is the most important part you have to remember. I'm going to lock the meeting. Okay. Now we're finishing here. Yes. We can go to the part 9. This is not much, guys, so that I can explain on the board. This is most theoretical part, only to understand what's happening on the graph and what is going to, for example, be the shape of one graph if you represent some situations. So we need to complete this, and I'm helping you with the classwork because remember you need to send this as evidence. But this is not much to solve on the board, okay? Number 9. The graph shows the number of boxes a machine packages over time. Is the relation proportional? How many boxes does the machine package in 4 minutes? Okay, is a proportional relationship? Yes, because you have the straight line that passes through the origin. You have the time represented in minutes, and you have the number of boxes. So if we take that the time is 4 minutes, how many boxes do I have? I have 100 boxes, right? You need to see the point that is with X and Y. And if I take the 4 in X, you have 100 for Y. You need to see at the grid. You need to see at the grid and locate the point. Now we can go to the number 10. And this is very easy to complete. They only ask, does the graph shows a proportional relationship? If so, use the graph to find the constant of proportionality. Okay, this is not a proportional relationship since the moment you see the graph, you need to identify that if it doesn't pass through the origin, so it's not going to be a proportional relationship. So if it's not a proportional relationship, I cannot find any constant of proportionality neither. So you don't have anything to do in here, only write no, not is a proportional relationship. Okay, in the 11, I think that we have a more interesting one. In the 11, exercise number 11, the graph shows a proportional relationship between the cups of flour a baker uses and the number of cookies made. You have the graph, you can see that the cups of flour is represented in the x-axis and the number of cookies are represented in the y-axis. So what does the point 0, 0 represent in this situation? 0 cups of flour and 0 cookies. So this baker is not cooking already. Is not already cooking because if he uses 0 cups of flour, it's going to have 0 cookies. Okay. In the next one, we have that the point 118 is representing 1 cup of flour for 18 cookies. So this represents that he's going to use 1 cup of flour and he's going to make or cook 18 cookies. Remember, X is the number of cups of flour and Y is the number of cookies. Okay. The 12 is more interesting. In the 12, I have to solve it with you. Now we go to the page 120. Page 120. We are going to work in the exercise 12. The points 0.5 and 1/10 and 7, 1 and 2/5 are on the graph of a proportional relationship. We need to identify or we need to find the constant of proportionality in the first part of the exercise. So we are going to find the constant of proportionality. I'm going to erase this. And what I'm going to do to find the constant of proportionality? Okay, you have decimals and you have fractions. Remember that at the end I need to subtract to obtain the value for k. I'm going to subtract the values on the y and the values on the x. So I'm going to work easily if I use the decimals. With the fractions, I'm going to complicate too much. So the first point is 0.5, comma. The second point is 1/10. 1/10 is in decimal 0.1. 0.1. What is the second point? In the second point, you have 7 for the x, and you have the mixed fraction 1 and 2/5. 2/5 is 0.4, and you copy the whole number, that is 1, so you have 1.4. Okay, what the equation states to find k? K is equal y over x. I think that you didn't forget the equation, okay? So I'm going to replace the values for y and the values for x. Remember that when we have 2 points, we are going to subtract. I'm going to subtract the greater values minus the least. So k is equal, and I use the values for y. The first value is 1.4 minus 0.1. These are the values for the y. This is over the values for x, 7 minus 0.5. So what answer do you have? That k is equal 1.4 minus 0.1 is 1.3. And if you subtract 7 minus 0.5, you obtain 6.5. When you divide this, what is the value for k? You can divide it 1.3 divided by 6.5. Remember what I told you, that when you work with decimals, you can use your calculator if you want, because we need to work faster and complete the problem. So k is going to be 0.2. But if you want to practice more, you can solve the division with the decimals. You already know how to do it, okay? So k is 0.2. This is my constant of proportionality for the equation. What asked in the second part? We need to name one more point in this equation. What is the equation we have? Okay, the second equation, y is k multiplied by x. I think that you remember about this equation. So to identify one point in here, to identify one point in this equation, what is the first step I need to do? I need to remember that now k is 0.2. So I'm going to change that y is equal 0.2 x. And I need 1 point to obtain. To obtain 1 point, I need to give one value for x. And remember, when I give one value for x, you are going to obtain 1 point for one value for y. So we can use 1, 2, 3. It depends on you. For example, I'm going to use 1 because it's the easiest one. It's the easiest. So y is equal 0.2 multiplied by 1. Y is 0.2. What is the point you are going to have then? That when x is 1, y is 0.2. Remember, the first one is the value for x, and the second one is the value for y. If I, for example, replace the value of x with 2, you are going to obtain 0.4. If you replace by 3, you are going to obtain 0.6, okay? So to give one value of the graph, to give one value of this equation, you replace x with any value you want, and we are going to obtain the value for y. Now in the exercise C, in the question C, we need to write an equation that represents the proportional relationship. We already have it. It's this one. I copied to solve the exercise. It's this one. This is the original equation. Y is equal k multiplied by x. But for this exercise, you already have the value for k. You already have the value, so you only replace. 0.2 is k. So the equation you need is this one. Y is equal 0.2 x. We already have it. We use it to find one value, remember? So this is the equation you are going to use if you want to find another point of this equation. Okay, guys, we are going to finish the class today in here. Remember, you only need to finish the page 118, 119, and 120. We already solved the most of them, but if you don't finish something, you complete it and you send the evidence tomorrow. You don't even have much homework, only the page 120, I think, to complete because we completed the other ones. So see you guys, have a nice day and take care. See you tomorrow.